And good morning. It is 10:15 a.m. here on November 19th. Frank Prosnitz joins me. Hello, Frank.
Hey, good morning, Ryan. You're looking like winter.
It's feeling like winter out here. It is just came in, and it's November in Rhode Island for sure.
Yep. We finally caught up to us, but it may go away for a few days.
It did, yeah. Hopefully. So, who are we talking to today, Frank?
I'm talking to you. How are you?
I'm doing good.
We're talking with Andy Watts. Andy Watts is a blues performer. He is from Israel and actually originally from Sweden. Moved to Israel about the age of 20, and interesting blues scene in Israel. Just put out an album called Supergroove. Some great music that from Andy, and he should be. Hopefully, he's joining us shortly.
And he is here, and we will join him. And look at that! It is nighttime.
Right on. It's roughly 5 p.m. here, 5:15 in Israel. How are you guys?
We're doing just fine, Andy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Contrary to what you believe, you are a technological wizard.
I'm old school, you know. I'm all analog. I'm all tube amps, you know. I'm old school with that.
Well, great to have you with us. Music is a big piece of what we do with WhatsUpNewp. The arts, I think, are just unbelievably important. And we're really curious about, maybe give us your travel a little bit. You were born in Sweden, came to Israel at the age of 20, I believe.
That's correct.
So what brought you to Israel, and tell us about your journey with music a little bit.
Well, my father was here already 47 for 3 years. I always knew I'm going to move to Israel, and I took the step and emigrated when I was around 20. I came into music pretty early, listening to radio stations from United States, blues channels when I was 12, 13, and I got really hooked on the blues from an early age, and it hasn't left me since. And that made me pick up a six string. And a friend of mine showed me a few chords, and I learned by myself. I'm self-taught. I never studied music. I don't read music. I'm not proud of that, but I probably break many rules in music. But it's on the other hand maybe an advantage. I don't feel that I'm limited to anything I do.
Tell us about your growth a little bit from when you began and to now, when you're this is what, your fourth or fifth album?
That's right. This is the fifth album I'm doing, and the blues and rock and roll. I've always been into blues and rock and roll, and early inspiration as early on was Hendrix, Peter Green, Clapton, John Lee Hooker, very guitar-oriented music, and I love the attitude on the old ones when you have a particular, the old guitar sound, big guitar sound, and that's something that I always try to achieve on my albums.
So I'm going to shift just a little bit. What's the background behind you? What are we looking at?
We're looking at what you're seeing over there. This is in not far from Tel Aviv. So you're looking up on the hills, going all up to Jerusalem, to Ramallah, and all the other places in the background.
That's great. It's great. I've been to Israel, been to Tel Aviv, and was like on the 13th floor of the Tel Aviv Hilton, looking out at the Mediterranean Sea. A beautiful sight.
Tel Aviv is Tel Aviv is the pulse of Israel in the sense of cultural, musical, and that's why I also dedicated the album to Tel Aviv out of the simple fact that even though I've been bringing for the past 15 years some of the best blues artists in the world that I had a pleasure to perform and record with, the music is made in Israel, and I wanted also to emphasize that Tel Aviv is a modern city. It's a very hip and cool place. It's a beautiful location, great food, and great music.
Andy, if I can jump in for a minute and we just talk about current events. What is it like with COVID-19 over there right now?
Put it this way, the last live show I did was 11th of March, so it's pretty much a partial lockdown. I believe and hope that the news regarding vaccine will help us, because we're all in this together. We have to beat this, and it will only happen if we join forces. At the moment, there are no live shows, no venues are open. I've been busy for the past 6 months, basically writing and preparing for my next album. So I've been busy.
So I want to talk about that for a moment. So if you don't read music, how do you write an album without reading or writing music?
A good memory, I guess. It's still working. Something's still working, you know. I sit and work with a guitar, picking up the guitar, working on. I play every day. You know, instrument is that's so beautiful. I can't even put the guitar just to look at it. Every guitar wants to get played, you know, and the more they get played, the better they sound. That's just how it works. And when you find something that sounds interesting, you can integrate it and you feel that this is something that you like, that it sounds good to your ear. I do write lyrics. You have to find that the lyrics goes with the music. You just have to rhyme. You start taking shape. So what I do sometimes when I have something that makes sense to me, I can record it on the cell phone, just quickly, and I will then remember it in my head. I hear the chords, I hear the song coming together in my head, and when I have the whole song in my head, I will sit down and simply put it together with the lyrics, and there's the song, you know. Then I will go into the studio, or with my bass drums and keyboards in the beginning to see how it all works out. And as you have heard on Supergroove, I have a 9-piece band, so the horn section you hear with trombone, baritone, saxophone, trumpet, B3 Hammond, that is exactly the show I'm putting on stage.
You have some guests on this album, right?
That's correct.
Tell us about them.
As I mentioned before, I had a honor and pleasure to bring a lot of blues artists to Israel. Among them, twice already, rest in peace, Lucky Peterson. 3 times, Julie Walker, rest in peace, Johnny Winter, Bernard Allison, Kenny Neal, obviously, as is co-producing the album, Rick Astrin, which is also on the album under his AKA name, Coasting Hank. He told me, Andy, listen, you're going to put Coasting Hank. Everybody knows that it's me. So he's obviously playing the harp on Living Hand to Mouth, Don't Take My Blues Away. And of course, we have Jolie Walker singing beautiful vocals on Burning Deep. And we have Eliza Niels doing vocals on Blues of the Month Club.
And before we get too far in, how can people get the album?
On my website, www.andywattsguitarslinger, there is a link for that WhatsUpNewp and Boga has set up for Spotify, for Amazon, for CDs. They have all that arranged. So that's on my website. I do also have a Facebook on Andy Watts Guitar Slinger.
When you are performing, you're performing not just in Israel, but you perform around the world, correct?
Correct.
Is there, in the United States, where have you performed in America?
That was some time ago. I will hope to come back again. As an Israeli blues artist, for me, it's a big honor, and I feel very lucky to be signed on a major US label like WhatsUpNewp and Boga. And we will see when I will come back now, when this Corona will leave us. I have performed in New York, around the area, New York, Cape Cod, Provincetown, New Haven. I've been to Boston. I've been to Savannah. Savannah is very cold in the winter. I didn't know that. We were there in February, and they told there are crocodiles in the river. I think it must be cold for them as well. So in Georgia, Texas, we'll see. I hope hopefully we will get everything back running when this Corona crisis is over.
When you go out and perform in the United States or in Germany or somewhere, do you bring your band with you, or do you pick up local musicians?
As always, it's a question of logistics. It's a question of traveling. I don't travel lightly if I go with a whole band. That's a 9-piece band. But yes, I have played with local musicians. I prefer to bring the band, obviously, like every musician. But most, if you take a horn section, I have everything written. All the songs have the horn parts written. So you can basically, if you have decent musicians, they can just go straight in and work. You have to send the songs over, you send the charts over, and they will know what to do.
Tell us a little bit about the history of blues in Israel. The history of blues in America goes way back, goes to Mississippi Delta blues and all that, but that's not the blues in Israel.
I think you cannot find a better reason to do the blues in the Middle East, I guess. Now, many people experience that. You do have a very loyal and a lot of large blues audience and jazz audience in Israel by tradition. I wanted to enlarge that a bit by bringing in world-class acts, as I mentioned before. But the blues scene is growing. It doesn't get the same amount of airtime or radio play like you would do in Europe, in America. Far from it, because of course it's different tastes of music. It's more Middle Eastern here. But I think I'm getting a decent radio play from the albums here in Israel as well. And the venues, I play rather big venues with a 9-piece band. I also play smaller venues on a trio, on a 4 or 5-piece band. But it's a thriving and it's a good blues scene in Israel.
Andy, who are some musicians, blues musicians that you're listening to, some up and coming that people should be keeping, and fans of blues music should be keeping an ear open for?
I think that I'm listening. I like, but it's not so much up and coming. I like Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I think he's a great artist. I also listen a lot lately. He's way back. I recently acquired a solo album from Alan Wilson from Canned Heat, who was such a minimalistic and fantastic musician. I also did a tribute on the album to one of my major influences, which is Peter Green, who recently, unfortunately, passed away. He was in Israel on the kibbutz, 1980. Snowy White. I do prefer and listen a lot to the minimalistic players, meaning the guitarist that knows to say a lot by playing less. And that takes some guts, and it takes a different mindset to do that.
What are when you take a look, once this COVID is gone, what are your expectations? What are your hopes about your own career?
At the moment, we are promoting Supergroove, and it's really receiving great responses from all around the world. And I'm very grateful for that. We put a lot of effort into the album, and we try to make an album that somehow, kicking off with Supergroove as an instrumental, going through, it's like cruising the blues, a musical journey, landing with Supernatural. And I was hoping that this album will show that blues is a global thing. It can be done anywhere, and good music can come from any corner of the world. We are 10 weeks on the Root Music Report, I think, and we've been 9 now in UK. So I'm thrilled that we have such a good reception. This is for me groundwork for my next album that I'm starting to work on this weekend. Going into the studio, start building, see what I'm going to have, talking with the musicians, see where I'm going to have horn section, string session, see what I'm going to do. But I'm looking forward to having the album played all around the world and take it from there.
When you're performing, how often are you out performing? Is this a 7 night a week gig, or is this a couple of nights a month?
Well, Israel is not Europe or United States. So obviously, we have less amount of venues that are on that level. We mainly perform for, let's say, for 400 seaters, 300, 400, 500 seaters. That's Tel Aviv, that's Jerusalem, that's Haifa. We also perform in smaller club with a smaller size band. But I would say that you're kicking in probably two to three shows a week on average. That's what you do. So you can't really go on a tour in Israel, because if you're in Tel Aviv, any direction, 1 hour, that's you reach the end of the country.
You save on hotel rooms.
Yeah. You see, many artists that came here and said, "Wow, Andy, are we going to stay in the same hotel the whole time? That's amazing." Well, you see, that's how it is.
So Israel's produced some great jazz artists, Nat Cohen, Abishai Cohen, and some others. And I presume that there'll be blues artists that will come along the way. Tell me about the Israeli Arab music scene. Is there one, and are they accepted well within the country?
Oh, look, yeah, for sure. I think it's a very, in particular in Tel Aviv area, Jerusalem, all around the country, it's a fusion going on the music scene. If you're looking today, with a lot of hip hop, fusion of chill out music, a lot of dance music are done in joint projects between Arab and Israeli music, where you simply are fusing the traditional darbuka rhythm of the drums, of the drum session that they have, typical for the Middle East, into modern dance beats, for example. Yes, without a doubt, in jazz too, by the way.
I can recall seeing some video of I don't know if it was a music festival or just an event, but it was a musical event where there were Israelis and there were Arabs from the Palestinian territory who were just at this event as if there were no borders, and it seemed like almost music was a bridge to peace.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think that's the culture and art is always something that will be a bridgehead for people to reach out to each other, without a doubt. And at the moment, I haven't integrated any of this particular thing you mentioned into the blues. But as I said, the blues is something that covers such a wide area, and you never know. You never know. But arts, music, culture, that's the way to bridge, without a doubt.
Ryan, you have any questions? You're wondering about the temperature in Israel?
Well, we are next to the Mediterranean. It's a beautiful period of the year. It's the fall. Average temperature in the day is about 26, 27. I'm talking Celsius. I don't know what I would be. 80s maybe, something like that. It's about 21 degrees now. Pleasant.
Excellent. And I was just running the wrong ones, but there's the right one I want to run. And where you can get your music is perfect.
Yeah, Israel has a lot of things to offer with that, and the thrilling things. I'm sticking to the blues, and I also feel with the next album, obviously the writing, the lyrics will be affected by the situation generally, that you've been away from the live scene. You can look into things in different perspective. The music I'm writing now is, of course, the lyrics referring to the current situation with the corona. But again, when you write songs, you don't want to write it too obvious. You write in the gray area between black and white, to see that it's up to the listener to judge whatever he wants to understand from what are you singing.
Andy, without a vibrant music scene at the moment of places to play, how do you earn an income, and how do the members of your band get by? Are they off doing other jobs?
Yeah, we do things, different productions, in other musical products, doing things. We're all trying to be creative. That's the way to. You have to be creative and you have to think positive. I think you must have a positive attitude, because this thing is a very democratic. The virus is a very democratic thing because it affects everybody. So you just have to make do at the moment and get through it, because we will get through it without a doubt, one way or the other.
Are people in Israel optimistic, or that? And well, let me ask you this: are people in Israel unified in their approach to this virus, and wearing masks and social distancing and all of those things, or is this a point of division?
If you live in the Middle East, you have to be optimistic. You start from there. Boom, you have to do it. And obviously, it's affecting. It's been a traumatic experience, I think, all around the world, because you want that light in the end of the tunnel. It's not a train. It's a way out of it, you know. And hopefully, the vaccine will provide that light in the end of the tunnel that we're all waiting for, you know, to get out of it.
Excellent. And, you know, for you, Andy, as well as all the musicians out there, I bet you the best way to support your future and you right now is to buy your albums, buy your music, gift your music, give it to friends of the blues. Now is the time to shop local. And when I say local, or shop independently, and independently is by supporting local artists and musicians like yourself.
I've listened to Supergroove, and it's a great album. There's great music on the album. I really would recommend it to people for sure.
I much appreciate it. We took some time. The first tracks were recorded when Rick Astrin were here in Israel. We had such a great time, so we decided to go into the studio, and we laid down 2 tracks with Rick here in a kibbutz near to Tel Aviv. And with the tracks for Joe Walker and Eliza, we did all the tracks here in Israel. We did lay down the horn sections. We sent the tracks over, and Joe recorded the vocals in New York, and Eliza did it in New Jersey.
That's great. That's great. I don't see on the screen, Ryan, anything else you have?
I'm good. I want to thank Andy for joining us. I'm running the website right there at the bottom. I have some background noise that I'm trying to avoid. That's why I keep jumping in and off. They decided to work right next to my window today. So, but we really appreciate it. I look forward to listening to a lot more of your music.
Yeah.
And
Andy, again, it's great music. I enjoy it. And what was the name of the album that preceded this one?
Blues on Fire. Blues on Fire is actually the name of my show. It's Andy Watts and Blues on Fire. And the title track, again, that was Joe doing some amazing vocals on the title track on that one.
Yeah, that's a great album also. You go to Andy's website. You can get a taste of all of this and listen to his music and buy his music. Andy, we're really thankful for you joining us from Israel today. The visions in the background were terrific. And wish you the best of success, and hope you come to New England when things are back to normal, and we'd love to catch you here.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm wishing everybody to come out of this and stay healthy and join forces, and we will come out of this together better than ever.
Very good, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. All right, Mr. Prosnitz, good conversation and some good music. We always have time to talk about good music, no matter where it is in the world.
You know, especially this time, you know, when who knows what the governor is going to say this afternoon, but when we're tied to our homes, so his music kind of takes us out of the doldrums a little bit. Listen to his music; it's great, though.
Excellent. All right, man. Well, we will talk to you soon, and we will continue our author series coming up here tomorrow. So we will do that then. And
with Wayne Miller, G. Wayne Miller, 19 books, Providence Journal. He's very talented.
All right. Thank you, sir. We will talk soon. Thanks for watching.